Welcome to Boston, Massachusetts. I'm in RF1, Robot Factory 1. There's about 100 humanoids are here. They're all called Sunny at a company called Tutor Intelligence. Tutor like the teacher. These 100 humanoids are all learning, trying stuff, trying, failing. Some have been here only a few days. Some have been here more than 2 months. They're generally doing things that are going to be relevant to working in a warehouse or a logistics facility or something like that. They're trying to pick stuff up, place it in a package, take it out, stack it, all those sorts of things. And they're doing it based on reinforcement learning. When they do something right, they get a little digital goodie. When they do something wrong, they get a little unhappy face, perhaps, whatever the digital electronic equivalent of that might be. This is super cool. It's not super sexy, but it's super important for robots that are going to be well trained and effective in warehouses.
What's the thinking behind the arms here? You've got sort of a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist, and hand.
Yeah.
What's the thinking in terms of how many degrees of freedom and what you need and what you wanted to build in?
So if you do the math, the minimal number of degrees of freedom in order to move to any position in 3D space, so that's you have your X, you have your Y, you have your Z, and then you have roll, pitch, and yaw, right? And that sort of math that is pretty beautiful of, 6 numbers to 6 numbers, basically. So that's the minimal number of joints that you need in order to go to any position in 3D space. And kind of what's most unique about these arms is that they're industrial grade, right? This is the same hardware that we've been deploying into the field in live production environments at kind of a superhuman productivity standard at really high uptime with all of our customers. So we are kind of building on the same hardware and software architecture and trying to basically minimize complexity as much as is humanly possible.
They have 5 eyes in just one motion.
They have 4 eyes.
4.
So 1, 2, 3.
What's the main?
I don't think they really have a main one.
That's great.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's a C- right now.
Yeah. But you got to start somewhere. The learning journey for these robots is multi-step, right? We start with initial task demonstration. We do rollouts, right? So we can get kind of human supervision, human reward feedback, right? Reinforcement learning from human feedback on these robots in order to sort of have them learn from their experience and their mistakes and also their success. And then only through kind of that whole process can we build robots that are a little bit smarter, just a little bit. And the hope is we can repeat that cycle over and over and over again while doing better science to improve kind of the control of our robots, their ability to understand the world, their ability to act in it. And we can build robots that are closer to the capabilities.
Good news, this robot is already better at folding clothes than I am.
That's great.
General robot artificial intelligence. And that's really what it says in the 10. It's robots that are sort of have the same intuition about the physical world and same ability to do physical actions as human beings, right? And today we're starting with the industrial world where we can fill labor shortages, right, and provide real value. But our goal is to build generally capable robot brains that can help in the home, for businesses, kind of everywhere in the world that there are going to be robots. We want to help make that possible. So in addition to the camera on the head, we also have cameras on the chest and then on the 2 hands. And that's really useful if you're like grasping into a dark space or somewhere where the hand can't necessarily see. We as humans have so much intuition to be able to like fish around for stuff and we know what to expect. As a robot, that's a lot harder. So it becomes really useful to have cameras actually on your hands. There are certain tasks that you just can't do with one arm. There's also rate and throughput and productivity where in a manufacturing environment, it really matters to keep pace, right? And that's pretty hard to do with a single arm, especially if, humans are able to do the job with 2 hands. So that's another big advantage of having 2 arms on a robot. There's also fault tolerance as another objective. So most of the tasks that you're seeing today are really like the robot is switching back and forth between using its left hand and its right hand. But our goal is to build robots that can operate at max throughput with its left and right hand, in addition to more complex bimanual manipulation.
Can you talk about the peripherals that you've got there in the hands and what that looks 3D printed right now? Are you going to put more sophisticated hands on there, digits, fingers, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of the simplest gripper that we could really imagine putting on these robots. It's a really common gripper design in kind of the robotics research community. It's called a Finnery gripper. It's like a bio-inspired kind of compliant design. And it's surprisingly versatile. Like you'll see the robots do some sort of manipulations with them that are kind of unexpected, sort of using that compliance to their advantage. We as humans use compliance to our advantage when we manipulate the world, so it's useful to have. But definitely our expectation is as we scale robot data, as we graduate up the task curve, adding complexity, we expect to build more and more complex grippers as we kind of saturate the capabilities of our existing hands. But as you can see, we have not yet saturated the ability of our current hands.
It's really interesting. Most robotics companies don't want to invite people to take a look at what they're doing until they've got it perfect.
Yeah.
You're very early in the stage right here, and we're seeing robots that are just learning.
Yeah.
What is this thing? Where can I grip? How do I do it? Why are you letting us see it so early?
That's a really good question. I think I would kind of maybe ask the opposite question of why wouldn't you show people? I think there's a lot of, in the robotics community, has been very demo oriented, right? Of like, okay, the success criteria is we want to show the robot doing the thing once and get a video and post that video or publish it in a conference or journal. And I think that's kind of a culture that we're going to have to move away from as robotics and specifically deep learning for robots moves away from something that exists only in the lab to something that exists in the field. So I think, we really want to engage with the world, and especially we want to be building partnerships early with folks in the industrial world that we can partner with to deploy robots into the world. Obviously, it's not going to be these robots quite yet, but kind of our whole strategy is in building those long-term partnerships very early. Most things that you buy come in a box, right? And you would expect that probably there's some fancy robot that's packing those boxes before they get shipped to you. And the reality is actually that's almost entirely done by hand. And we have a massive labor shortage in the United States, and we want to reshore and bring more manufacturing, more distribution happen in the United States. And sort of to do that, we need robots to be able to perform those simplest tasks in the manufacturing and logistics environment.